In this video we're going to have a look at the Nonlinear Action Editor and create a little animation sequence. Firstly, I want to fix a couple of parts of the character model. So because I've already applied the mirror and the modifiers over here, by the way, your armature modifier should be above your sub D. If it's not, just select the button and move it up. Because I've already applied the mirror, I want to come over here to, I want to go into Edit, Tab, and I want to come over here to the Options and select this X mirror here, which will just simulate the mirror. It's not as good, but it will work for these little changes. So I'm zooming in here to the hand, which I want to fix up. And I'm going to alt-click the faces around the hand, change to the scale tool, and scale those in a little bit. And I also want to scale in just the where the fingers join there. And I'm going to move this face up. And I'm going to rotate the fingers down. So I'm going to go Control plus to select all of the joints up to the joint. I'll left click there and change to the 3D cursor. Rotate the hand down a bit. We'll just check that our mirror is working, which it is. We'll come back in. We'll go Control minus to the next joint. Position our 3D cursor. Rotate those fingers down. We'll do the same on the thumb. So I'm just selecting it. Control plus. Position the 3D cursor. Rotate that down a bit. I'm just going to change that pivot point back to medium. Now I also wanted to just adjust the bridge of the nose here. I'm just going to pull it back in a little bit. I have to do the same with this face here on the eyebrow. And that's looking better. So I'm going to save. I always do a save as and hit the plus for a number to get a new copy. Now I'm just going to rewind that back to 0 and we'll have a look at the Nonlinear Animation Editor. Now I'm coming up the top here to the window layouts, and I'm going to come to animation. We're on default, we're going to animation. I'm going to go Control 3 so that our character is facing that way. Now this is our walk cycle up here we did in the last video. I'm just looping that. Now you can see that's actually going from 0 to 30. It will probably loop better if we go 29. So let's go 29 because 1 and 30 are the same frame. And that looks okay. I think it might be a little bit jerky where the hips are coming down and the head is coming down. So we might change those. So I'm going to select the hip. I can see the keyframes. I'm coming to frame 3. going to come up here to the dope sheet where the torso is selected. The hips, I call it the hips, it's torso. And I'm just selecting the frame on 3, and I'm just going to go G on the keyboard and slide that up to 6. Check that is 6. That's one back. Okay, now here's 18. I'm going to slide it up to 21. So I might position my cursor on 21, go G and then just slide it up to the cursor. So that's our hip. I'm going to do the same on our head. So I'm coming down here, going G, sliding it to 6, getting the 1 on 18 and the keyframe on 18 and sliding it up to 18. From 18 to 21 I mean. Let's hit play. And I think that's a little bit more organic. Yep. So I'm just going to stop that, rewind, and save. Okay, now where it says dope sheet here, I'm going to change it to Action Editor. This is where we can create actions and save them. And we can have multiple actions available in here. There's only one at the moment, which is called Rig Action 001. We're going to select that and type in walk and hit enter. So now when we create different actions, we can list them here. And down the bottom here, which is our graph editor, they call it F-curve. Oh, it is the graph editor, that's various curves, sorry. Over here we can change it from the graph editor to the Nonlinear Action Editor. So this is a little bit like a film, a video Nonlinear Editor. So this is our walk here. It's still in just the action form. If we click on this serrated edge over here, this button here, it'll make it into a action strip. And we can do various things with it now in the editor. So I'm just drawing this out and I'm going to scale out a little bit. I'm going to hit the N key, which opens a numbers column down here in the editor. I'm going to open that up a little bit so we can see it a bit better. Now, here's our start frame and our end frame for our walk, 0 to 30. Again, we want to set the end frame to 29 because it loops better as we tried over here. Now, there's a few other controls. This looks a little bit more complex than it seems. Most of these controls you don't have to use. Down here though, there is a repeat. Now, if we click on this and say hit 5 and enter 5, and I zoom out here, you can see that our walk is now repeating 5 times. I'll just reset this end frame to say 200 frames. So at 25 frames a second, that gives us 8 seconds. So if I hit the play button now, you'll see that our character is looping 5 times. Okay, now this editor allows us to create, the action editor allows us to create new actions up here and then apply them as clips down here, or strips. So we want to move our character forward. I'm going to just rewind him to frame 0 again, and instead of animating his bones, I'm going to animate the rig itself. So I'm going to go Control Tab to get back to the rig, and I'm going to animate this. So I'm going to go once, Control 3, sorry, so I'm looking at him from the side. I'm just going to move these tools over a little bit so I can see a little bit better. Now, each one of these grids represents about a metre. So he's doing 5 steps. I'll move him about 4 metres ahead. He doesn't quite do a metre in each step. So, but first I need to put a keyframe in here. So I'm going to go I and come down to location, rotation, scale. And that puts the first keyframe in. I've got the auto keyframe button already pressed in down here. I want to go minus up here and new, which will create a new action. Actually, I could have just gone on that one, but I've done that anyway. So we'll call it forward for our forward motion. You could call it linear, whatever you like. I'll just call it forward to make it a little bit easier. I just hit enter. So I've got to do my I again because that was on the other action. So I've put a keyframe in. Here it is up here in the action editor. It also appears down here on the timeline. So I'll move forward 145 frames. That's because he's moving 5 times 29. So I'll click on 145 over here. Always move time before you move action or animation. So now I'm sliding the rig forward about 4 meters. That automatically puts the keyframe in. I'll hit the play button. Add a loop. So here's our character walking out. Doesn't look too bad, except that you'll notice that he starts off slow and then speeds up. I want him to be at speed almost immediately. So I'll stop that. I'll rewind it. I have a look up here on the action editor, which is very similar to the dope sheet. I can see the 2 key frames on this forward action, start and the end frame. I'm going to just right click on the start frame to select it and deselect the end frame at the same time. I'll come down here to the key. I'll come up to interpolation mode, and there's a number of settings here. At the moment it's on a Bezier setting if we were to look at the graph editor, because it eases in. Blender automatically puts an ease in. So we wanted to make it linear. Let's click on the key again, interpolation mode and linear. So that would have changed the keyframe. Come into the graph editor for a sec, you can see that there's a straight line there now. So I'm just going back to the action editor, the NLA. So if I hit the play button now, you'll see that the little character starts off at speed, which is better for walking. And he doesn't look like he's sliding too much there. If you do get a bit of a slide, just adjust your end frame. You can move it back and forth until it looks okay. I'm going to Control 3 again. I'll hit the stop button and rewind. Okay, so if I come over to the Nonlinear Editor now, the NLA, and I hit the serrated button on the forward motion here, or action, that'll turn that into a strip as well. Now, any strip above another cancels out its action. So there was no action on the rig on the walk anyway, it was on the bones. So the forward action now just moves it all forward. Now I can put other actions on top of this now to create more, to make it more complex. For instance, I'm going to have the character turn and look and wave. So I want to come up here to new. I'm going to call this action wave. Hit enter. So I want this action to happen maybe a couple of steps in, maybe a step and a half in. So I'm going to go Control Tab now to get back into the pose mode. I'm going to go to the head first. We'll have the character look first. I might even come back to the first step. And I'm going to go I to activate the keyframes, location, rotation, scale. Then that's our start frame for the turn. I'll move forward half a step and I'll rotate the head so it turns. So I'm going RZ to just rotate around here to have a look. I'll scrub that and see how it's working. Now you can see once it gets to that point, it overrides the bottom action of the head. So the character's turning, its head is turning. So let's make the arm come up for a wave just before the head finishes turning. So I'm going to come into the hand control. I'll go I, location, rotation, scale to put a start keyframe in. I'm going to go 1 just to make this a little bit easier to move. That's my start frame, so I've got to move forward to put the next frame in. And now I'll move it out and up. I'll need to rotate the hand around. I'm not going to move it too much higher because I'll move the elbow down. Like so. Let's have a look from the side. Oops. Rotate that up. I think we can even go a little bit lower. We don't want to block our eye line. Now it's good to put a middle keyframe. See how that's just going straight up? In reality it should go in more of an arc, so I'm going to go in between those couple of keyframes I put in for the arm moving. And I'm going to just move it out a little bit. Maybe rotate that down a little bit. And so it just comes up. Now of course we want to do a little wave. So we're going to Control 3. Possibly it's just turned around a little bit too much. I'm going to rotate it back this way. Okay, so now to do the little wave part, I'll move forward. I'm just doing this by feel. Let's see, let's do it a little bit more accurately. I'll move that frame. I'm just right clicking on it, going G, and I'm moving it to 60. Let's move that. That should be fine. So now I'll come forward 5 frames. We'll rock it back this way a little bit. We'll come forward another 5 frames. We'll rock it back that way. Forward another 5. I'm just going R on the hand, by the way, to rotate it here. Okay. Not the best way, but it should sort of work a little bit. Now, I will animate the hand coming down now. So I'll give it about the same sort of time, maybe about 10 frames. To move down fairly quick. I'm going to go 1 again, move it down, rotate it around. Somewhere in here. I'm going to get the rotation on this arm, copy it, and paste opposite, on the elbow I should say, just to get that similar again. I don't have to get this exact because I'll show you why in a moment. So pretty simple action, as I said, not the best wave ever, but this is just a quick demo. Again, we'll probably adjust the position once we've placed a camera angle in there. Now, I haven't got the head turning back into the walk again either. So what I'm going to do is click on the serrated edge here to make that an action as well. Now if we look at the head staying there and the hand isn't moving past that point, I'm just scrubbing this, left clicking and scrubbing. So what I can do is taper this out here. So if I right click on just the wave to select that element, come over here with that strip, come over here, and if I have a look, there's a control called blend in, blend out. There is an auto blend I could switch on, but I won't do that. I'm just going to slide the blend out, and as I slide the blend out, you'll see there's a little line appears over here. So if I scrub that now, you'll see that the action just blends into the other action. It's like a fade out in a video editor. So that means that's doing the rotation of the head for me. It probably would have done the whole arm as well, but by giving it a bit of a start, that helps it. I zoom out now, just so I can see all of the action there. I'll rewind it and hit play. Let's see our character is behaving quite well. Looks and waves, goes back into his walk. Okay, so I want to put one more action in. We'll get the character to stop and pause at the end here. So I want to come up to, I'll just get it on the end frame. And I'll come up to new. And we'll call this stand. Excuse me, now I'll come over and have a look at the character. I'm going to go 1, I'll go Control 3. So I want to get this foot, bring it down, bring it in a little bit, rotate it down so it's square, pull it down to the ground. I could actually just go Alt R to square it off and Alt G to get it back to its rest position. So I'll do the same. Well, I can now copy it and paste opposite to the other foot. Maybe his hip's leaning a little bit too much there. Let me go through. I'm going to rotate that back a bit. Let me go Control 3, see that a little bit better. So I'm rotating that so he's a bit more upright. I'll still give him a bit of weight, but let's move him up a little bit. Okay, so the arm, I can't reset the same way as I did the foot, so I've got to pull that down and in, rotate it down square, pull the arm down, across. We can, let's have a look at one. That doesn't look too bad for a rest position, so we'll copy that and paste to the other side. Let's go Control 3, go and have a look at our guy. So it's not too bad, I think, for a rest position. I'll give him a little bit more weight on the hips. Oops. On the hips. Okay. So what I want to do is put some keyframes in for this now. So I'm just going to go A and put a keyframe in for all of the parts, all of the bones. I select them all, and then I and location, rotation, scale. I'm going to zoom out to see where my keyframe is. So it's still at the end of my walk there, which is good. That's where I want it to be. So just zooming in. So if we have a look, that's frame 144. I want this to, well, let's go for, say, to 170. Well, actually, let's go to 180. 184. We'll make it even. And I'll go I again, just so I've got a keyframe in for there, and these two frames are the same. Okay, still got a little bit of movement there at the beginning. So we'll move the action a little bit later, don't worry. Actually, I won't move the keys now. I can just come up and select the top key to select all of them, and just go grab it and move it across. We'll fix that up later, the exact position. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just sort of swing his arms a bit casually. So I'm just going to come in and grab that arm, move a little bit back. Maybe move this one a little bit forward. I'll copy that one, move forward a little bit, paste opposite. I'll select the other hand, come back, copy that, move forward a little bit and paste opposite. And I'll just hit play there and have a little look. Yeah, it may be a bit exaggerated, but he's just going to be just moving his arms around a little bit rather than exactly still. Okay, so in fact I might even just get rid of one of these keyframes, and we'll just use the one keyframe and I'll move it into the middle, which should slow the whole thing down. Yeah, he just does a little move back and a little move forward now. I could do a little bit of a rock on the hip. Let's do that. So we'll just rock this back and forth a little bit. So sometimes, in fact, no, let's just leave it with the hands. It's only a demo, so let's just hit this a serrated edge now. Now, so we've got him walking and then he just pops into the stand, so we want to transform that. So I'm going to select the stand and go G for grab, just move it down into the walk. The same layer as the walk. I'll right click and shift and right click to select both the walk here and the stand. And I'm coming down the bottom here to add, and I'll add a transition. So now if I scrub that, it's not perfect, but it's not too bad. It's probably a bit slow. I'll grab this one and move it a little bit closer. Just going G. Oh, that's actually a little bit better, I think. Let's try even a little bit closer. Let's move it back a bit. I don't mind that. That's not too bad. So let's have a little look at our action. I might just save at this point. And I'm just going to hit the play button. I'll rewind. I'll zoom out here so I can see it all. Zoom out on the action editor, the nonlinear editor. I'll hit the play button. There's our character. So that'll loop. He looks and waves. Let me just go. The other thing I can do to make it a little bit easier to see is I'm just going to hold the shift and switch off the layer down here of the armature and rig, or just the rig. I notice that's popping in there a little bit. So I'm going to do a blend in as well for that action. You see the hand pops? So I'm switching that rig layer on again. I'll just stop the playback. So it's on the wave, which is our arm and the head moving. So I'll do a little blend in on that. You can see the little line appear here. About the same as the blend out that I've got. Let's hit play again. Wow, that's much smoother. Let's just zoom in so we can see that as it loops. Yeah, much nicer. So if you see any little pops like that for your action, it's just a good idea to blend them. So as you can see, we can't really see this too well. So in the next video, I'll come in and we'll put some lights and a camera in so we can see the action a little bit better.